Hey guys! So here I am, finally living life like a human again. I just wanted to give an update on how the first few months of residency have been going. So it's officially been 2 months that I've been working as a doctor, and it's been okay. It's been crazy. There have been ups and downs for sure. My first 2 weeks in residency, when I was starting on the floors, which is what you do most of the time when you're in residency, that was pretty intense for me to start with. And I definitely cried on my first week because I was overwhelmed and on long call and trying to figure out how everything works in the hospital. It's also been really interesting to see how to balance my life with my parents and my relationship as well as work. That's been a big adjustment because work, I feel, can be so all-consuming, and then you also have responsibilities to other people in your life that you care about, and you also have to take care of yourself. And you also just have to learn how to do things like pay bills and manage money. I've never even had a steady income before, and I never learned how to save. Medical school doesn't teach you those things. So I'm trying to learn all of this and not make any mistakes. And it's been interesting. So after the first 2 weeks of residency when I was on the floors, then I went to clinic, and I thought I was going to love clinic because the hours are so great. You have weekends off, you start at 8:30 and you get out around 4:30 or 5 p.m. on a regular basis. And it's fine. It's just that I miss the rush of being on the floors. I miss being in a place where people are really sick and an emergency can happen at any time, and you're the one who needs to go and fix it. Like, you don't think in internal medicine that you're going to have emergencies. But when you're in medicine, it's not just patients who are elderly and sick and are slowly getting better. A patient's body will suddenly just shut down, and you need to go and save their life. Like, you need to run there to save their life. And that, to me, the responsibility and the fact that you don't know if it's going to happen or when it can happen, you just hear overhead that someone is dying and this is where they are, and you need to get there as soon as you possibly can. That gives me so much meaning and purpose in my work. And you don't have that in the clinic. In the clinic, you have patients who are pretty healthy, who come to their appointments and maintain their care. And the preventative medicine is important to prevent the patients from getting into the hospital in the first place. But I don't know if it's interesting enough to hold my interest as a career. So that was something I ended up learning about myself, which I never thought. I thought like, wow, I'm not gonna like working in the hospital. I'm just gonna like working in the clinic because of the hours. I was really burned out after medical school, but then I actually started working in the hospital and I actually really liked it. So I don't know, that's teaching me a lot. And this last month of August, I was working in the ICU, as you guys know, and that was intense. It was really intense. The patients were super sick, and it could be really sad at times. Sometimes the patients got better, which was so great. And being in the ICU, more than comforting your patients, because many of them were asleep and intubated, it's more comforting the families and building relationships with those families, which was really rewarding because the family members were always like, thank you so much for the work that you're doing and the help that you're trying to give. Because people don't acknowledge that the family members that are healthy outside of the hospital, they're the ones who are remembering and experiencing every second of this, and the fear and the worry that goes along with their loved one in the hospital and potentially dying. And the person who's actually sick is so sick that they don't even have consciousness for half of their experience. And so people don't really acknowledge the fact that this is traumatizing more to the family than it is to the actual patient. So that was rewarding, but there were definitely times in the ICU where I was really frustrated on how things were run because it's very hierarchical. Medicine in general is very hierarchical. The attending talks to the fellow, who talks to the resident, who talks to the intern, and the intern talks to the nurse. And so I feel like that's not the most efficient way that we can handle medicine, even though I get that this is the traditional way that it's been done. I was lucky that I had such a great team. But definitely since I was one of the lower people on the totem pole, I didn't always get to be part of the decision-making process for my patients, even though I was supposed to be responsible for knowing everything about my patients, and at any given moment I could be called upon to answer a question about the patient's status. Like how much urine did they make today, or did they eat, or what was their blood pressure, or their last labs. But then at the same time, a conversation would be happening about my patient when I was there in the space. And I definitely had medical student syndrome, where what I said and the data that I had collected felt almost pointless, because it appeared that the attending or the higher-ups could access that information that I had gotten up at 5 o'clock in the morning to collect. They could just look it up on their computer instantaneously. They didn't need me. And sometimes when I would bring up a lab value that I was concerned about, sometimes I'd be taken seriously, but most of the time probably not. So definitely medical student syndrome came out a lot. Or I would be cut off, or people would talk over me and ignore what I was saying to get their question answered. And I get that they have much more experience. These patients are sick and they need decisions made for their care much faster rather than slow. But there were moments when I was like, I'm very incapable, and I didn't feel the most confident in those moments in time. So it's been ups and downs. It's been very confidence-inducing over the last 2 months, but it's also been very balancing and humbling at the same time. To say like, yes, I am a doctor. Like, yes, I am a doctor. I can treat people. I know things. I know how to help people. But there's so much more for me to learn, and I'm really excited to learn it. So now, going forward, I hope that you guys keep hanging out with me because I have so many more rotations coming up with some similar experiences and some new experiences that I've never even had before. And I'm going to be documenting it and making videos about it. So I hope you guys come through. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. And hi to everybody who's a new subscriber. Thank you so much. Bye.